I want you to think about someone you know who never changes. Same complaints, same excuses, same life, year after year, no matter how many times they say this year is different. And somewhere underneath all of it, there's a quiet, uncomfortable question you've probably asked yourself. Why don't they just change? Here's what almost nobody tells you. They don't stay stuck because they lack opportunity. They stay stuck because their brain has convinced them that staying stuck is the safest place to be. Poor thinking isn't stupidity, it's protection. It's a nervous system that decided, a long time ago, that shrinking was safer than reaching. And once you see that, you can never unsee it, because you'll start noticing it in your own mind too. Machiavelli understood something about human nature that most people spend their whole lives avoiding. He wrote that men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions. And the deception isn't always coming from someone else. Sometimes the deceiver is your own mind convincing you that comfort is wisdom. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why poor thinking feels so safe, why your brain defends it like a fortress, and how to finally take the walls down. There are 7 hidden reasons your mind chooses the smaller life. Each one will feel a little too familiar. Stay until the end, because the 7th one is the one that changes everything. Drop this in the comments before we start. I am done protecting my limits. Number 1. The brain confuses familiar with safe. Your mind was never built to make you happy. It was built to keep you alive. And those are 2 very different jobs. When something is familiar, even if it's painful, your brain reads it as survivable. You've already lived through it once, so it assumes you can live through it again. That's why people return to the same broken relationships, the same low-paying jobs, the same tiny version of themselves. Not because they enjoy it, but because the unknown feels more dangerous than the misery they already know. Machiavelli warned about this exact trap when he said that men judge more by the eye than by the hand, because everyone can see, but few can feel. You see the danger of the unfamiliar clearly. You cannot see the slow damage of the familiar at all. That's the illusion. Growth always requires stepping into a room your brain has never mapped, and your brain will fight you every single time. Not because change is actually more dangerous, but because your mind has never learned to tell the difference between unfamiliar and unsafe. Until you teach it that difference on purpose, it will keep choosing the cage it already knows over the freedom it's never tested. Think about the last time you almost did something different, applied for the job, ended the relationship, moved to the new city, and pulled back at the last second. It probably didn't feel like fear in that moment. It felt like logic. It felt responsible. That's the trick. Your brain doesn't announce itself as fear. It disguises itself as good judgment, and you believe it because it's speaking in your own voice. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Unfamiliar is not the same as unsafe. Number 2. Poor thinking removes the terror of responsibility. If your circumstances are someone else's fault, the economy, your parents, bad luck, then you never have to face the possibility that some of this is on you. And that feels like relief. Blame is comfortable because it protects your identity, but it comes at a devastating cost. Because if it's never your fault, it's also never in your control. Machiavelli built his entire philosophy around one brutal idea, that fortune controls half of what happens to us, but we control the other half through our own action. He refused to let men hide behind fate completely. The poor thinker clings to the half that isn't their fault, and ignores the half that is, because owning that half means admitting they could have done something different. And admitting that is terrifying. So the mind builds a story where nothing was ever winnable, because an unwinnable game never has to be played. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My choices still matter, even when the odds don't. Number 3. Small thinking protects you from public failure. Nobody claps for the person who tried and lost. They only remember the loss. So your mind quietly calculates the math and decides it's safer to never attempt anything big enough to be watched. Small goals fail small and quiet. Big goals fail loud, in front of everyone who's waiting to say, "I told you so." Machiavelli knew this fear intimately, having watched ambitious men destroyed publicly for reaching too high. He wrote that it is much safer to be feared than loved. if you cannot be both, because love depends on other people's goodwill, and goodwill can vanish the moment you embarrass yourself. Poor thinking trades ambition for invisibility, because invisibility can never be humiliated. But here's the part that stings. The people most afraid of public failure are usually the ones with the most potential to lose. You don't fear failing at something you are never capable of. You fear failing at something you secretly know you could actually pull off. That's the part nobody says out loud. The dream you keep shrinking isn't the one you've given up on. It's the one you're most afraid of actually reaching, because reaching it in front of everyone means there's nowhere left to hide behind excuses. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My potential is worth the risk of being watched. Number 4. Scarcity thinking feels like control. When you believe there isn't enough, not enough money, not enough time, not enough chances, you build tight little rules around your life. Don't ask for more. Don't take risks. Save every scrap. And in a strange way, that tightness feels like power, because at least you're doing something. But scarcity thinking isn't control. It's a cage disguised as discipline. Machiavelli observed that men never think they possess securely what they have unless they acquire something further, meaning the human mind is wired for expansion, not contraction. When you force it into permanent scarcity mode, you're fighting your own nature, and that fight quietly exhausts you every single day. The tragedy is that scarcity thinking doesn't just limit your money, it limits your imagination. You stop dreaming in years and start dreaming in weeks. You stop asking what's possible and start asking what's guaranteed. And nothing extraordinary was ever built on guarantees. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I think in abundance, not survival. Number 5. Staying small avoids the grief of outgrowing people. This one hurts because it's rarely spoken out loud. If you change, really change, some people in your life won't be able to follow. Family members, old friends, the version of you that made everyone comfortable will start to disappear. And some relationships were only built to survive with that version in the room. So your mind, trying to protect you from that loss, quietly keeps you small enough to stay loved by everyone who's always known you. Machiavelli wrote that there is nothing more difficult to execute, more uncertain of success, than to introduce change, because the innovator makes enemies of everyone who benefited from the old order. That's not just true in politics, it's true at your own dinner table. Growth doesn't just cost effort, it costs certain relationships their comfort with you. And your mind, terrified of that grief, will happily trade your future for their familiarity. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I would rather grow and lose than shrink and keep. Number 6. Poor thinking gives you an identity to hold on to. Struggle becomes a personality. The underdog, the unlucky one, the person life keeps knocking down. And as painful as it is, identity is powerful, because without it, you feel like nothing at all. So even a negative identity feels better than no identity. This is why some people sabotage the exact success they claim to want. Success threatens to erase the only version of themselves they've ever known how to be. Machiavelli understood that men will defend an identity even when it costs them everything, because uncertainty about who you are is more unbearable than certainty about your own suffering. Rewriting your identity means grieving the old one first, and most people never get that far, because nobody teaches you how to mourn a version of yourself you're trying to leave behind. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My struggle does not get to define me anymore. Number 7, and this is the one that changes everything. Poor thinking survives because no one ever showed you what safety actually looks like on the other side of risk. Your brain isn't broken, it's just never seen proof that reaching is survivable, so it keeps defaulting to the only evidence it has, which is staying still. But evidence can change. Every single time you take a calculated risk and survive it, you're rewriting the data your mind runs on. You're teaching your own nervous system a new definition of safe. Machiavelli didn't tell princes to eliminate fear. He told them to use it, to study it, to move forward anyway, because he understood that courage was never the absence of fear. It was action taken in spite of it. That's the shift. You don't have to feel ready. You don't have to feel safe. You just have to give your mind one new piece of evidence that reaching doesn't destroy you. Do that enough times, and the fortress your brain built around your smallness starts to crumble on its own. You've now seen the 7 quiet reasons your mind chose the smaller life: familiarity mistaken for safety, blame replacing responsibility, invisibility protecting you from public failure, scarcity disguised as control, smallness protecting your relationships, struggle disguised as identity, and a brain that simply never saw proof that risk was survivable. None of this makes you weak, it makes you human. But now you know the mechanism, and once you know the mechanism, you can no longer pretend you don't have a choice. Machiavelli once wrote that everyone sees what you appear to be, but few know what you really are. The version of you that stays small is not who you really are. It's who fear convinced you to appear as, for protection, for comfort, for one more day of not being tested. That protection has a price, and the price is your whole life, quietly spent guarding a cage instead of building an empire. If this video showed you something uncomfortably true about yourself, that's not an accident, it's the beginning. Hit like, share this with someone still guarding their own cage, and subscribe for more strategies that make you sharper, stronger, and impossible to keep small. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. I am no longer protecting the version of me that plays it safe.